Rocking with the best. You tune into the Dribble podcast by Gully TV, available on all streaming sites. Make sure y'all get there and follow me. Holla.
Already know what it is. Iron Sheik, aka Abdullah the Butcher, aka Akbar the Rockstar, aka Warlord, aka Black Adam. Fresh out the South Bronx, fresh in the flesh, official shit out of the bone bristle. Y'all now tapping in with Gully TV.
Ready, Nick?
Mic check. Mic check. 1 2 1 2. Let's get busy. Subscribe to the channel, The Real Gully TV, hip hop, sports, and fashion. You tuned into the Dribble podcast. This is a live recording brought to you by yours truly to YouTube. Let's get them. Play my song. Truck drivers, turn me up. You tuned into the Dribble podcast by Gully TV. Hip hop, sports, and fashion. Got a special show for you guys today. Let's say I'm bringing in a political analyst. We're going to discuss some things. Welcome to the podcast, Mr. Gary Horton. Truck drivers, turn me up. And most of all, make sure y'all subscribe to the channel on YouTube, The Real Gully TV, hip hop, sports, and fashion. I had Zip with the Drip on the platform last night. I wanted to reintroduce Zip as a hip hop artist. A lot of y'all tune into YouTube and y'all got a load of Zip with the Drip by way of his catchphrase. Let's get to that. And a lot of his hard-hitting, abrasive style content on YouTube and Instagram. But I brought Zip with the Drip to YouTube and to the online community as a hip-hop artist. If you're not in tune with my PILLMATIC series, he was on my PILLMATIC 1, my first album. He did a dope song produced by P.A. Dre called Game Time. And I tried to convince him that it was in his best interest to go ahead and be an MC, but he implied something along the lines of ageism. I think he made a great decision to push forward with his platform, Zip and Pit Cat, and he's done a lot, and he actually has went about establishing himself, branded himself as an online personality. But because of his popularity from his platform, people are starting to take note that he's a very, very highly skilled lyricist and very talented. Make sure y'all subscribe to my channel. You can check out a lot of his content that we did together, mainly a music video that we have called Game Time, aka John Morant, directed by me, edited by me, and that's something that we got going on in the channel. Before we get started, I have to go into the situation again about Buckshot Shorty. Buckshot is one of the MCs, legendary MCs from the Brooklyn collective, the Boot Camp Clique. He was actually a part of a group called Black Moon. Highly revered MC. There was a viral video that went viral this past week of him being assaulted in Brooklyn. And you had various scenarios or explanations on what happened, but ultimately we came to understand that it has something to do with somebody being evicted, possibly squatters or something like that. There's video footage that came out after the assault video, and it shows Buckshot being called a snitch by a gentleman. And in my opinion, Buckshot probably didn't have to press the issue. I guess he was calling him a snitch because he called the authorities to help evict somebody from a property that he owned. You know what I'm saying? Somebody that was there under the pretenses of being a squatter or something like that. But this video footage shows him being called a snitch by someone. And he kind of like pressing the issue and showing just a little bit of aggression. He keep, hiking up his pants or something like that. And it probably didn't have to go so far. But anyway, something that has people very, very upset right now is a video that came out on MREC's channel, and it's Aguilar, the Don Bishop, and he interjected his 2 cents into it, and I knew it was a bad idea when he did it based on his history with the boot camp clique a few years ago, probably been about 4 or 5 years. The boot camp clique was very upset with him, and niggas wanted to put hands on him about saying some disrespectful shit about Sean Price. When I looked on MREC's channel and I seen him now speaking on Buckshot, another member of boot camp clique, I knew that there was going to be some problems. The Rock Ness Monster responded saying, I was going to slap you before, you need to chill out, you need to mind your business. And right in the middle of that, I believe Aguilar realized what it was that he did, and he's in the comments under his video he did with MREC talking about, yo, you got to take this down, I didn't know you was gonna record this, and you, man, dude, all through that recording you hear MREC stating that you're being recorded, and he said several times, tell the listeners, and you know what I'm saying, all types of indications that you were being recorded, so you should stop acting like you didn't know that you were being recorded and deal with what you put yourself in. The problem is, for some reason, niggas just got to be on camera. Again, that had nothing to do with Aguilar. He should have stayed out of it. But the boot camp clique is on his ass. Aguilar got a show November 22nd this month in Brooklyn. I'm expecting him to be paid a visit by some members of the boot camp clique for running his mouth. The shit that happened to Buckshot, again, it seemed like he kind of like had a chance to diffuse it and go about his business, but he was kind of pressing the issue. And these guys who allegedly assaulted him, they was a little bit younger than him. You know how they give it up. So there you have it with that. It was he was assaulted about some shit about a property. Boom. Colorado plays today at 4 o'clock. Shedeur Sanders has announced that he's going to go ahead and forego the remaining years of eligibility that he has in college football to go on to the NFL. I think it's a great idea. I've really enjoyed watching Colorado this past 2 years, as Deion Sanders resurrected the program to dominance. They play today at 4 o'clock. Make sure y'all tune in. That's all I have for now. I want y'all to buckle up and listen to this. Listen to my guest that I'm about to bring on shortly. He's a very highly decorated revolutionary and social activist from my hometown, Erie, Pennsylvania. I've told y'all many times about my background. I'm a Lindsay. I come from a very pro-black pedigree, and it was people who helped cultivate me, like Mr. Gary Horton, that was always around me. And I feel that this is a great time to bring him onto the platform because I've been watching him the last year, and he's doing some really great things out here in the community. And not only that, I got some questions for him about the presidential election. So you could go ahead and bring him in, Nick. And again, make sure y'all follow me on all social media platforms, The Real Gully TV, and make sure you tuned into this podcast on all streaming sites. Download all my episodes. The Dribble by Gully TV. Hey. Peace. Come up in here with your overalls on, looking like Arma Lindsay and shit.
Only somebody from Erie would know that.
No
I consider it a privilege.
How you been?
I've been well. I woke up this morning.
Yeah.
Recognizing.
Yeah.
There was time to get back up on the wall, get back to my post.
I really appreciate it. I love this hat that you have on. This is so dope that you showed up with your PA knit.
About to get one for my grandson for his birthday,
Avid supporter of the PA knit brand. You see us?
Amen.
Now turn around to us.
Oh,
they can
okay.
See us, the camera right there.
Okay.
You know,
All right.
We in the building.
Peace.
All right. What I want you to do first is introduce yourself and tell my viewers exactly what it is that you do. I have you listed as a revolutionary and social activist. Those are some of the titles that I feel is befitting to you based on your recent work and furthermore lifetime work that as far as being a major factor and vanguard of black people in the Erie community. But go ahead and introduce yourself. We're going to get off into this.
Yeah, my name is Gary Horton, and I was born and raised in Erie. I wear several hats, and I make sure I wear my knitted hat to all of them. I am the local president of the NAACP in Erie. I am the coordinator of the East Side Grassroots Coalition. I am in my daytime, in my 24-hour day job, I am the director or servant of the Urban Erie Community Development Corporation, where I serve educational programs for adults and youth. I'm a community organizer, and I'm a student of Gil Scott-Heron, recognizing that the revolution will not be televised. It will be live. And so my life has been characterized, as you succinctly described, as a revolutionary, and that it's a full-time 24/7 job, and I appreciate having the privilege of serving as such.
I love how you interjected Gil Scott-Heron. You come up on Gil Scott in the last post and shit like that.
I am 72 years old. I have been involved in elections and community organizing since I was 8. My mother and my father grew up during the civil rights era and raised 11 children, 6 girls, 5 boys. I don't know anything other than that to do. I can go back to a number of revolutionaries in our own city that I can put on the same level as the national heroes and that we recognize, like Paul P. Martin and Irma Lindsay and Mildred Horton and Pearl Pavaroo and others. I remember the Black Panther movement and John Lindsay, and I can't forget John Lindsay. And so I grew up around Black Panthers. I grew up around just people active and willing to stand up and fight. So I feel uniquely qualified today in the space that we operate in to have a privileged experience, history, and the battle that's set before us. And so, that's who I am. I'm 5'2". I ain't gonna bust a grape. I got many people that look out for me, have always advocated for me. I grew up here in Erie. I attended Hampton Institute. In my freshman year, we had riots and they arrested our student leadership. In high school, I might add, even before that, we had riots in the high schools. And that's how I was engaged in that era. And I went to college. That was my introduction to college, being put off campus, having the National Guard come out to Hampton Institute and put us off campus. I transferred to Cheyney University, which is the oldest HBCU in the country, founded in 1837 by the Quakers outside Philadelphia. And I'm a proud graduate of that. I've attended Seton Hall University Law School for a summer institute. I attended Duquesne University Law School for a year. I've worked for the federal government in Washington, D.C. I've worked for the governor's office in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and I've served as the special assistant to the mayor of Erie for 10 years as the only man and the only black in her office. And I also served 2 terms, 8 years on the local board of education. And so for me, I'm proud of the experience that I've had. I recognize that I've been blessed and that it's only through the grace of God that the hole didn't catch me and that I didn't fall into the hole, and that I still have people like yourself, your uncle, and others who have motivated me, and that to appreciate the opportunity that I've had and the experience that I've had to make a contribution back here in my hometown.
No doubt. I love how you ran off all your accreditations, because I was going to ask you about all of that, especially the historic black college education. I'm going to go into that because I need you to drop. One of the things you said was they won the election. I think you even said the whites won the election. Explain to me what you meant by that, because there was a lot of people that supported Donald Trump too. And I'm going to play a video for you shortly. And it was something that he said that I totally agree with as well. Me, myself, I'm a Republican, but I voted for Kamala Harris. I had an incident this past year with the IRS and my taxes. And after it happened, I started to pay a little bit more attention to the presidential election. It's something that I never felt affected me. I'm the type of guy who feels it don't matter who's going to be in office. I'm going to be all right regardless. That's how I feel. But paying attention to some of the things that were said, I started to understand that Donald Trump was for protecting millionaires and billionaires and putting them in a space where they didn't really have to pay any taxes, whereas people who might be in our financial class would end up carrying the burden and having to pay taxes and shit like that. So I was like, shit, if it comes down to money, then I'm going to vote for Kamala Harris. Again, I never felt that I was directly affected by the presidential election, but these last couple of days, I've been listening to things. Kamala did lose, but as soon as Donald Trump came in office, he started to get active on social media. This is a space that he seems to dominate, and he put this video out. I want to play this, and I want to know what you think about it.
One, I will revoke Joe Biden's cruel policies on so-called gender-affirming care. Ridiculous. A process that includes giving kids puberty blockers, mutating their physical appearance, and ultimately performing surgery on minor children. Can you believe this? I will sign a new executive order instructing every federal agency to cease all programs that promote the concept of sex and gender transition at any age. I will then ask Congress to permanently stop federal taxpayer dollars from being used to promote or pay for these procedures and pass a law prohibiting child sexual mutilation in all 50 states. It'll go very quickly. I will declare that any hospital or healthcare provider that participates in the chemical or physical mutilation of minor youth will no longer meet federal health and safety standards for Medicaid and Medicare and will be terminated from the program immediately. Furthermore, I will support the creation of a private right of action for victims to sue doctors who have unforgivably performed these procedures on minor children. The Department of Justice will investigate Big Pharma and the big hospital networks to determine whether they have deliberately covered up horrific long-term side effects of sex transitions in order to get rich at the expense of vulnerable patients, in this case, very vulnerable. We will also investigate whether Big Pharma or others have illegally marketed hormones and puberty blockers which are in no way licensed or approved for this use. My Department of Education will inform states and school districts that if any teacher or school official suggests to a child that they could be trapped in the wrong body, they will be faced with severe consequences, including potential civil rights violations for sex discrimination.
Wow. What you think about that?
I don't disagree totally with that, but my response is, here is a convicted felon, rapist, bigot, deflecting from his own characteristics, which he flaunted every time he opened his mouth during the election to bring out this issue. It should be addressed. It's not the most negative or repulsive policy that has to be addressed. I feel like the progressives, in many cases, have gone too far, and some things do need to be addressed. But Donald Trump's exposure of making that one of the primary first things that he does, I see as an attempt to deflect attention from his own character flaws, which some people feel are as grievous or those that he just outlined. Grabbing women by the pee, and that calling our women bees and all of that. I mean, like, it's a good attempt on his part to deflect. He's been very good at that. And so while I don't disagree with his position on that policy, it's certainly not the worst policy or the most important policy that he should be addressing. I see that as a red herring, a distraction and that from this man who lies and has lied, and that who wants to overturn our democracy, who wants to do more than just give a tax break, no taxes to his billionaire friends. And yes, they are mostly the whites, in that there are very few of us that are in that category. And those that are, many of them are doing some good things with the wealth that they have accumulated. And that I can't defend that any more than I would defend the idea that any black man in America accused of any of the things that Donald Trump has done, and that would never get the opportunity to seek the highest office in this land, to be the most powerful person in the world. And so, so no, I don't disagree in that, but like even our own city, 3% of blacks owning a home, that's a travesty. And that whether they're Democrat or Republicans who are making those decisions. And although we have a homeless problem in the city of Erie, it's not the highest housing concern that we have. We have blacks and new Americans, legal new Americans, who work every day, who are living in substandard housing, being taken advantage of by absentee landlords and slum landlords, and that's a local issue. And that, and to some degree, in my training, I've been taught all politics are local. And then, even though we're talking about a national campaign, I've been a Republican. I ran office as a Republican. I ran for office as an independent. I served 2 terms on the school board. The first one I won by 118 votes as a Republican. The last name on the bottom line. So to some degree, the Republicans aren't our biggest enemy in this town. In this town, the Democrats unanimously control city government. The treasurer, the mayor, the all of city council, the city controller. We have a Democratic state reps. We have a Democratic governor. And yet, when the Democrats are in power, where they could improve poor people's lives, they improve the status quo's lives. They maintain the status quo. And so that's one reason why a lot of people feel locally, my vote don't count. And that, why do I want to vote? And that it don't matter who get in. And that because the people who are in seem to serve the interests of the people who are already in, or the people who are already in power. Up. And that already up and that. And so, but what I don't accept is the vitriol, the calling of names. I got cursed out, called motherfuckers and niggas and all of that in this campaign by people just because of my involvement in the campaign. They have a right to be for Donald Trump, or anyone they want to. They don't have a right to be like Donald Trump and disrespect or abuse every other American because of the choice that they have made. And so, go ahead.
Why do people seem to associate Donald Trump with racism on an extreme level? My opinion is, I personally feel he's no different than the last 30 presidents. You dig what I'm saying? As far as the race factor, I never was able to determine what's the difference between Donald Trump and George Bush.
Well, I saw a different response by George Bush than I saw from Donald Trump. Like when things like George Floyd happened, and that Donald Trump has seemed to exploit or try to exploit those things versus a George Bush. Yeah, they both represented the interests of their party and the rich, and that one had more compassion than the other. Same results, in that no policies that improve the life of the poor. When the Democrats are in the majority under under Joe Biden's only term, in that we reduced child poverty, and that cut it in half by changing policies that impacted families' lives. There's a difference in the policies. I don't see any president before this one who called people names and who used division as the theme or the strategy of their effort to win. And now if he does a reversal of those kind of actions, then he's going to have those very people who are rabidly behind him feeling that he has changed. I don't see him changing course, and that I don't think we deserve to have a president who is openly espousing some of the things that he does, saying that Haitians, legal Haitians in our country, eat dogs and cats, and that calling our neighborhoods trash, calling our women trash, calling them bitches and whatever and all of that. If that is his route to convincing people that he should be the most powerful man in the world, I've never heard another president, and certainly not in our lifetime, take that strategy to win. He also exploited the fraction of African American males who were supportive of him. There's always been a fraction of African American males who have broke away from the majority for whatever interest that they have. They've only been a fraction. It took attention away from the majority of the African American community and the policies that they espouse. More attention was given to them, undeserving of it, than to where the majority are. Even after the vote, Donald Trump did receive some African American men to vote and support, but the overwhelming number of African American men voted for the sister, and not just because she was a sister, but because of the policies that she represented. I don't know how any man who has a woman, a girl, a daughter, a sister, or a mother would be accepting of some of the things and some of the positions that he took about women. And I'm just, for me, I've never seen any other president openly display those kind of characteristics.
You got some people that say, I don't feel he's a racist. He freed 3,000 prisoners by way of pardons, a lot of those who were black men. Serving life. I heard people say that in support of him. And not only that, before Donald Trump got into politics, I feel that Donald Trump was accepted by black people. He was often seen with Don King. He was often seen with Iron Mike Tyson. If you listen to hip-hop records from the early 90s, his name was constantly dropped as a punchline, getting paper like Trump, living in Trump Towers. Like, there was no stigma attached to his name until he became a politician. Why is that?
I think some of it he perpetrated himself. And that, those of us who didn't live in New York and didn't see him that way, we had no knowledge of that. But when they told us or taught us or showed us or proved to us his position on the Central Park Five, yeah, and things like that, and just the things that we've become aware of after he attacked then presidential candidate Barack Obama, and then we start paying closer attention. I would dare say many of those people were not with him in the end. And maybe he had some other blacks with him, but I think many of those people doing a gut check of who he was and what he said he was then and what he was saying now, even of his own people, and that the people he hired, his generals, his chief of staff, all those people said, please don't let that guy get anywhere close to power again. And then so it wasn't just the blacks. It was a lot of people, black and white, who see the character flaws in him today. And I still say, anyone who is as intelligent, as educated, and as experienced